Greetings! Today we are going to produce a video in my Rapid Learning series, also known as the High-Tech Learning series, where modern technologies and much greater methods of information intake can greatly accelerate the learning of certain subjects, and not by a little bit, but by 10, 20, 50, 100 times faster than might normally be possible through the traditional classroom-based degree model, and also for virtually no cost. Now, for those of you who are longtime subscribers of this channel, you may be familiar with the semantic learning tree that Elon Musk describes as his learning method, and I made an introductory video about that over here, and I also made a semantic learning tree that enables someone to learn paleontology in a very short time in this video up here. Now we're going to make something similar to a semantic learning tree, but for the study of world history, which is a subject that has become very easy to learn with modern tools that exist today. Much faster than the classroom and reading-based methods that have existed traditionally. And I can tell you that if you follow the methods that I describe in this video, you will learn as much about world history in 30 hours as someone who has a bachelor's degree in the subject, because the tools of intake are really that efficient and so easily available now. Now, this image that you see here is a fractal tree that I use as the metaphorical semantic learning tree. And in other videos for other subjects, such as paleontology, I populated the entire tree, the thin branches, the thick branches, and the trunk. The trick to creating a semantic learning tree is to understand what should be in the trunk, what should be in the thick branches, and what should be in the peripheral branches. Now, for world history, there is a tool that is so good that it actually suffices as the entire trunk, and all the thin branches that exist from there can be described upon looking at that video and figuring out how to intake information using that video as a springboard. Now, to do this, you need ideally a 2-monitor setup. In the left monitor, we are going to show a video from YouTube made by someone called Ali Bai. And that is an animation of the entire world map as history progresses from about 4000 BC to present. And in the right monitor, you can have Wikipedia open. So to show you how to use this method, we go to that video from Ali Bai. Now, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, the accelerating rate of change is already evident because each interval is 25 years. But now it's only 10 years. We have gotten to a point where 10-year intervals are granular enough. You can see the empires as designated by different colors that emerged at the time indicated in the upper right-hand corner. Now we're at 5-year intervals, so the rate of change is accelerating even faster. And now we're at 1-year intervals. So civilization is accelerating at an even faster rate because each individual year matters. So we went from 25-year intervals to 1-year intervals, but we're still in 1600 BC. Now I urge everyone to watch this video in its fullest, and many times of course, but for the purposes of the video that I'm making here as instructional material, we're going to fast forward this by a lot. Now, as you can see over here, there are many types of empires, and the color code tells you what type of culture each of those empires represents. Sometimes there's multiple nation states within one culture, but what you can always do is pause this video and then look something up on Wikipedia, which we will look at later in this video. You can see from this stage now that colonization is beginning. Iceland has had continuous human habitation since about 875 AD. There was a Greenland colony by the Vikings for 500 years, but they did not have the technology to sustain it or progress further southward into North America. They just did not have those technological capabilities, so the Greenland colony went away, despite the 500 years of its existence. However, a few centuries later, the other colonial powers like Britain, France, and Spain, were able to colonize the Americas very quickly because they had more advanced technology, better ships, better weapons, better metals. And so they could proceed without any reversal of their colonization. And you can see here that the British Empire is in fact the greatest late mover advantage of all time, because even though it was in the Americas as well as in Australia and New Zealand later than many other powers, it took advantage of the heavy lifting done by Spain and Portugal in the Americas and in India, while also taking advantage of the fact that many other naval powers overlooked Australia. So Britain became the dominant place in all three: North America, the Indian subcontinent, and Australia and New Zealand, even though it was not the first to go to the first two in that, and it was quite lucky to be the one to finally set roots in Australia and New Zealand, when many other countries could have done that much sooner than the British Empire could have. We can pause this here because we're getting to the modern age, and now we go to Wikipedia for an example of what I'm talking about for the recursive learning methodology that will make you learn very quickly. So just take one article of something that was prominent in the video we just saw, which is the Mongol Empire. It controlled a huge portion of the Eurasian landmass at its heyday, and then it broke up into other types of smaller empires that all retained some characteristics but started to become different from each other based on the geographical regions that they were in. So you can look at the Mongol Empire and see here everything about it, its durations, its leaders, and so forth. You can read anything you want, but then you can go over here to what preceded it, so all of the nation states that were conquered and annexed into the Mongol Empire, and then the four components that it broke into. And we can choose any one of these. We can choose the Golden Horde, for example. The Golden Horde lasted from 1242 to 1502 AD, and you can read about that. And you can see what the leaders of the Golden Horde were named and what succeeded the Golden Horde. You can see any of these and look at that. And then after that, you can go back to the Ali Bai video and look at something else. You can study, therefore, the sequence of empires and what followed what around a certain time, because the way history is taught right now, different subjects are taught in isolation. We are taught about the Mongols, but what was happening in Southeast Asia during that time, what was happening in Western Europe at the same time. One has to go pretty deep to learn about things like that. Take a very different subject like the U.S. Civil War, for example. The U.S. Civil War, American Civil War, is a very studied subject and much more close to the present than the Mongol Empire. But in the United States, people are taught about this in a vacuum of sorts, and they are not taught about what was happening in the rest of the world during this period. There were a number of Western European powers that took different sides in the Civil War. Some supported the North, some supported the Confederacy. What was happening in Asia during the same 1861 to 1865 period. All of these things are important because of the technology transfers that occurred through increasing globalization. If an innovation occurred in one part of the world, the speed at which it could reach the other part of the world was greater. That caused advancements in weapons technology, transportation, and so forth. And if you look at that entire world map that we saw in the Ali Bai video, you will get a much deeper understanding about why certain things could only happen when they did. There were no airplanes at the time of the American Civil War, of course. There was not even an internal combustion engine. Firearms existed, but were not nearly as powerful as the ones in the 20th century, and people still fought with swords in addition to firearms at the time of the American Civil War. Similarly, if you go further back, the colonization point that I spoke about does allow one to see how technologies enabled faster colonization by later powers versus very difficult colonization early on that was often reversed. These are things that create a much denser and interconnected understanding of world history because you are looking at something under the context of economic history and technological history. And by learning about major events and the connections between them, then all the lesser events in between fall into place. And so you can do this in Wikipedia, read about certain events and certain people and so forth, and which nation state preceded a nation state or followed the nation state you were looking at. You do that for about 30 hours, referring back to the Ali-Bai video in your left-hand monitor and Wikipedia in your right-hand monitor, and I can assure you that in 30 hours you will know a tremendous amount about world history, more than many people who have a bachelor's degree in world history. Now, when someone studies a bachelor's degree, that is in fact something they have decided to make their primary area of expertise because they have chosen that subject ahead of others. And to think that you can know as much as someone with a bachelor's degree in history in just 30 hours and at virtually no cost by using this method that I describe, which is the semantic learning tree that Elon Musk also uses, you can learn a subject like this in a short time, therefore collapsing the entire premise of a bachelor's degree in history being something that signifies expertise in that subject. I would say that I know more about world history than the vast majority of people who have bachelor's degrees in the subject, and in some cases more than people who have more than a bachelor's degree in that subject, because I'm interlinking technology and economics to all of these historical topics as well, thereby enabling me to place different historical events and capabilities and probability of outcome based on the context of technology and economic sophistication of that time. So this is what you have to do. 2 monitors, the Ali-Bai video in the left-hand monitor, Wikipedia in the right-hand monitor, or vice versa if you prefer, and keep looking at that video, pausing when something looks interesting, go to Wikipedia to look up that nation state, study about it, and then branch out from there. What were the clothes in that particular regime? What weapons did they have? When was their heyday, and what type of wars did they have with their neighbors? When you see some border move around very quickly in that Ali-Bai video, that shows that there was some intensive war going on, and the fortune of the war shifted a few times. So you can go to that war very easily by seeing which nation states the borders were of and what year that was. You can identify that topic very fast. This is so much more efficient than the book and classroom and report writing model of historical study that has existed for so long that it seems silly to me that a bachelor's degree can even be in a subject like this when we have collapsed it down to something so easy to learn and at such a low cost. That Ali-Bai video is one of the best educational tools you'll ever find anywhere. And I hope that video did a lot of good things for him as well because of the work he put in to create that video. It has many, many millions of views, so at least it is popular in that regard. So try out this method and report back in the comments how quickly you are learning if you have not tried this method before. And if you like this type of content and you'd like to see more videos like this, then I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, and thank you very much for watching.